Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you guys? What's going on? Happy Thursday to you. As you can see, I'm in my trusty nightgown, scarf on my head, because I actually get to relax this morning before I have to go off in the afternoon. First Thursday since I started family treatment court that I don't have to be at court. I'm so happy. But it is cloudy outside and it's not supposed to rain today, so I think we're good to go. But anyway, I hope y'all doing great. Thank y'all for your support and the well wishes for, my husband and I, getting past 6 months of sobriety. I appreciate that. It's an achievement. So, and we're very proud. I know my kids are proud too. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but when our sons come over, my youngest son in particular, he takes our bracelets the bracelets that we phase up with in court, and he likes to wear them. So the latest one that I phased up in was green, and he asked to wear that, so he's been wearing it. So that lets me know that, they are very proud of us, and that makes me happy. But anyway, trying to think if there's anything else I need to mention before I go into the topic. I don't know. I be having so many thoughts running through my head all at one time, but it'll probably come up to me while I'm talking. But anyway, we're going to get into the topic for today, which was the topic I switched from yesterday. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about postpartum depression. It's normal. I've had experience with this when I gave birth to my fourth child, my middle boy. It's not fun. It's not fun. I guess when you first start off having that, like they call it the baby blues, if it, lasts only like a couple of weeks or whatever. But once it lasts past that, then it turns into postpartum depression. And man, I'm telling you, I was going through it. I still have like a little teeny twinge of guilt for how I acted, but it's normal. But at the time, I just was like, all right. So my experience was that when I was going through it, it was like a whole bunch of things that led up to it. First of all, this was my fourth child. My husband and I had just got back together, and then I ended up pregnant. No surprise, right? Very fertile. So, we had just got back together, trying to mend the fences or whatever the difference is. So when I discovered I was pregnant, I kind of felt like, and not saying that I didn't want my child, but I kind of felt, in my words, I kind of felt like I was trapped, because I was like, man, he came back just to impregnate me so I won't have to move around freely. That's how I felt. So, you know, and then my whole appetite changed. Like with the first three pregnancies, I wasn't like that big and stuff like that. Uh, you know, I didn't gain that much weight. It was just my stomach. But with this pregnancy, I was eating left and right. Like, you know, the first three pregnancies, I was eating like tacos and noodles and hot dogs. This pregnancy, I was craving root beer. I'm like, I don't even drink root beer. Root beer, man food. Like, when I say man food, like, you know, sausage and peppers, burgers, like, just meat. Just meat. Like, for real. Like, I was just eating like a man, basically. Like, I just was always hungry. So I gained a lot of weight. So I was resentful about that. My stomach was huge. Then, on top of that, like, you know, there's some situations going on in the home life that, like, wasn't up to par. So I was upset about that. And then when it came time for me to give birth, I felt like I was abandoned. It's a story behind that, but I'm not even going to get into it. But I felt abandoned, and it was a snowstorm. So I ended up having to be at the hospital by myself, and I was mad as hell. So I felt like, you know, everybody was ignoring me. I'm pregnant, you know, about to give birth, was in labor for a long time, and uh, I couldn't push the regular way because they said that my canal was narrow and then the baby's head was so big or whatever like that. So, and they was like, I basically, if he stayed in there any longer, it would have been a chance that, you know, things would have turned complicated. So they had to do a C-section, emergency C-section on me. Now, I was upset about that because, you know, the first three births, you know, was done the regular way. So I was like, damn, they're going to have to cut me open and stuff like that. You know, that's a surgery. I was nervous. I didn't have nobody with me and stuff like that. But of course, I got through it. And so this was my first child born through C-section. And when I saw him, you know, I was excited, but I wasn't that excited. So I noticed that something was wrong then. Then I noticed how big he was. And I'm like, Dad, that's where all that meat and all the meat and stuff went to. So the very first time that they put him in my arms, I was, you know, I held them and I, you know, uh, it was a connection, but then again, it wasn't, because I just was so, like, my mom was everywhere else. Like, number one, I felt alone. Number two, I had this major surgery. Number three, my baby's big. So I'm thinking, like, how I'm going to feed this thing all the time. And so many thoughts ran in my mind. But by the time I got home with him, it's just, you know, my feelings, I was waiting for my feelings to kick in regarding him, but it didn't. I I felt like um, to be honest, I had felt like he ruined my life. Now, this is my thoughts back then. This is how I felt. I felt like my life was ruined. I felt like I'm like, here I am. I have to feed him. I didn't want to. I didn't want to clean up after him. I didn't want to hold him. I didn't want to touch him. I hated hearing the sound of his voice. And yes, I'm being blunt, but maybe I feel like somebody needs this, like, because people struggle with this so much, and they may feel ashamed for thinking these thoughts at the time, after they give birth or whatever. But this is how I felt. you know my husband had to do mostly all the things. I wasn't doing anything unless I absolutely had to. Like if my husband had to go to the store or go to work or something, but I was not. He cried, Randy would take care of him, change him, feed him. I didn't want anything to do with him. I just felt like my life was ruined. I felt like my body was messed up, and that now here I gained some extra weight, and it just wasn't a good time for me. And it took me a while to come out of that. It took me a while to come out of that because it took a while for me and my son to really connect. And it wasn't until I seen him connecting with somebody else. And then I was also doing a lot of rebelling. I told you, if you want to know what I'm talking about, check the overcoming infidelity part. Because I was wilding out after I gave birth to Derek. So that another thing that, you know, led up to me rebelling was, giving birth. So it wasn't until, I seen that the neighbors took a liking to him, and the wife, she was, all like wanting to be his mom, so to speak, that I really started, coming out of it after I was, stopped trying to be, uh, stop trying to be a rebel and stuff like that. But I may be rambling, but yeah, it took me a while to come out of it. It took me a while to, to find that connection with my son. But now, I'm happy to say, like, all these years later, like, our relationship really started changing. Like, he was my buddy when, like, a few years ago, like, he would always be around me. And I have a mole on my neck, but he used to just, like, I guess it was a comfort for him. He'll sit up there and just play with my mole. Like, he will not move. He'll just play with it, and you play with it for, if I left him there, he would just stay there all day and stuff. But, and nowadays, he's taller than me, but, he makes me laugh. He's great. He does esports. You would never think that we never had a connection. So that's what I'm saying. And I just want to say to, some of the people that may have experienced this too, or know someone that is experiencing it now, you know, don't don't judge that person too quickly. Um, it's normal to feel like that at times. You never know that it may be something else. Like in my case, it was other things triggering my depression, after I gave birth. So, just let that person know that maybe suffering postpartum, to, let them feel secure in knowing that you have their support, you know. Even at the time that we were beefing, me and my husband wasn't getting along, he still showed his support, by taking care of the baby and picking up the slack when, I dropped the ball, basically. And for that, I'll always be grateful. But, if you feel like this, so, it's normal and it'll be okay and you'll get through it. Just make sure you have a great support system. Make sure that, when you start feeling like these feelings are coming up and maybe you may have an urge to want to do something a little extreme, make sure you call someone first. If you don't trust yourself to be alone with the baby, or, call someone. Uh, it's okay to, go to a quiet place and get your thoughts together. It's okay to cry. It's okay to, say, like, why? Why am I going through this? I need help. Like, you know, don't be afraid to reach out for help. And that was me. That was my thing. I would never tell anybody that I need help. People would have to force me to acknowledge that I need help. I would try to do everything myself, because I always felt like if someone helped me, they would hold it against me later, hold it over my head. And, you know, that's how I feel like you're not really helping if you're holding it over me. So I would never ask for help. But if you feel like this, please know that there are genuine people out there that want to help you. Even if you feel like you can't get that type of support from your close friend, family, or friends, there are plenty of groups out there, support groups that deal with this particular situation and stuff. But don't try to do it on your own. That's not what you need to do. Don't try to do it on your own. There is help for things like this. And don't feel like you're the only one going through it. You're not the first, and you definitely won't be the last. But it's okay to know that you don't have all the answers and that you get frustrated with your baby at times. And, it's normal to feel those feelings and to not be ashamed. So, if you feel like this, or someone feels like this, you know, just know that everything is going to be okay. Everything is going to be all right, and you got this. No one should feel ashamed for having moments of, despair, or, feeling incapable of, doing what's needed to be a mom, so to speak. We don't have a handbook. But yeah, so it's gonna be okay. And seek help. Don't be afraid to seek help. But I'm gonna get off of here now and enjoy the rest of my morning. And I hope this encouraged someone today. You could like, share, subscribe, share this to someone that may need it. But it will get better. It will get better. And you're not a bad person for having these type of moments. Okay? So I hope you all enjoy the rest of your Thursday. I know I am. Um, y'all take care, and I'll be back tomorrow. Until then, take care and God bless.